All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is TNZ episode number 10. We have Tina on board this evening, and I accidentally labeled the show episode number 9. I'll need to go back and correct that. So people watching this will say, "What are you talking about?" It says episode number 9.
We
So
already did 9.
my mistake. My mistake. I was in a rush trying to get the label on there, so I'll correct that. So, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Okay, okay. I guess as best as I can do. So, the weather's gotten a little bit more steamier and not as much rain as last year, which I'm grateful for because last year at this time it was pouring down rain for forever on end, and I don't know what that was all about. But this year we're getting more sunshine. I don't know if that's better, maybe more steamy heat rather than the pouring down rain. So
Yeah, it's pretty sticky here. I guess that's how I would describe it.
we're expected to reach temperatures uh, above 90 to 95 for the entire week. So we're definitely getting in the hot range. So.
Yikes. Yeah, and you guys are getting hurricanes?
Oh, we got hurricanes. Is that are we getting close to that, aren't we? I haven't heard of any yet, but I don't know. I've been over the past few weeks. I've kind of like changed my focus on what I listen to and what I read lately. So, like about a month ago, I would have probably been on top of something like that. Lately, I've been like focusing on not stuff that's not really important anymore, like watching TV and movie reviews. So I just kind of phased out from the rest of the world. I just don't feel like watching the regular stuff I was watching for a while. I wanted to change my life around a little bit. I thought maybe just doing that would just ignoring the other stuff would be, I don't know, a little bit better. So I ignore all the politics like I was watching before. That was just annoying anyway, and all the news. So I guess we are in hurricane season. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
So
it's good to take a break, unplug, and don't do it for too long though, because your house might blow down. Just
there was a big storm that hit here back in I think we discussed this already. I forget back in 2012. That thing was horrendous. It was like it came down from where you are and crossed over like the Ohio Valley and into DC, and it knocked down trees everywhere, and the power was out for like I think about a week. No, it was out for like 4 or 5 days, and the internet was down for 8 days. So that was the biggest one. Unfortunately, no damage, but there were 3 trees that blocked the road I lived on. So the neighbors had to they went out there with their chainsaws and cut the trees down. So
wow, that would be fun. Until you have to go to the store urgently for something.
yeah, yeah. And the scary part was I was like, there's no. I walked outside. There was no power, no nothing. I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do? What am I going to do now? The trees are down. I had a cell phone. That was about it. My dad, who lives about maybe 15 miles north of where I live, he was full power. So I ended up going to he and his wife's house, and I spent like the week there, trying to recover, trying to recuperate and get everything set up for it because I was still running my business at the time. Kind of hard thing to do. So
Yeah, yeah, very tough to do with no resources whatsoever.
hmm
I think your food in the fridge goes bad. I was looking this, or I heard this somewhere where if your fridge has no power, obviously don't open it too many times, but your milk goes bad within a few hours. Your eggs go bad within like a day or something, just because we have ours refrigerated.
interesting.
Good to keep in mind in your area.
You know what I heard that over in was it Great Britain, United Kingdom, that they don't refrigerate their eggs. I don't know how that works exactly.
No, no, because chickens don't lay their eggs in a refrigerator. They just lay 'em. You know what I mean? I don't know why we do. I have no idea why, but I feel like once they're refrigerated, they can't be unrefrigerated.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
I,
okay.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll have an answer next week, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. Let's ask the audience if they know, see if they can tell us why that is. I just remember seeing that about a year ago, and I was like, I found that kind of interesting because where I get the eggs, they're definitely at the supermarket I go to. They're in a sealed, refrigerated area, and you have to actually open up a door, sealed in the sense that you have to open up the glass door to pull them out. So
Yep.
they're and
Yeah.
that would be interesting. So your theory is because once you refrigerate them, then you have to keep refrigerating them. If you don't, though, you don't have to. But
Yeah, that's my theory. Backed by Just gut feeling. No science behind that.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get an answer on that one. So it's probably not too
Yeah.
hard to figure out. So, well, would you like to check our question from last week, or actually 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
Let me bring this up here. All right. If you knew the world was coming to an end, where would you be? And
Here we
50
go.
was that? I think that was where we were before. Playing video games was the lead before, I believe. So 58% with playing video games, 17% spending time with family and precious moments. Next one down is 11% in a bunker or hiding in a basement, and we got a tie with either sleeping or praying or partying, excuse me, enjoying the last moments of life, both at 7%. So
I did expect video games to take the lead. This is a very strong lead. I didn't think it would be this much of a lead, but go everybody. I'm right there with you.
did you say what you would do? I forget. Did you say what would happen if you knew the world was coming to an end?
Okay, so it depends if it's a disaster scenario where, say meteors are falling from the earth. I probably would be spending precious moments with my family, assuming that, my family lives far away. So, assuming we were together, or I would just stay with my husband. But if it was a matter of, 3 days from now, the lights are just going to go off and it's just going to be blank. Um, yeah, I'd be playing video games. I probably wouldn't be partying.
Oh, that's not
I
the
don't
end
know
of the
about
world,
that.
though, is it? That's just
Yeah, I mean, well, if the world ends, it's just like it's done. You know what I mean? Like if it's just like stop, then I'm just saying if it's not a dramatic, scary moment, if it was scary, you know what I'm saying? Like if it's just like a blink, if it just blinks off.
okay.
But yeah, chances are I'd be playing video games.
So what video game would you be playing the most, do you think?
Probably an MMO, Final Fantasy 14, so I could just say goodbye to everybody that I don't know, pour
Is
my feelings out to a stranger.
is that an online game? I don't know how that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a computer game. Or I would be doing a nostalgia game, you know, also Final Fantasy 7, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and maybe a Sonic game, possibly.
Sonic, huh? Interesting. One of
Sonic
the
2 Adventure Battle. No?
Sonic 2 Adventure Battle. I'm not familiar with that one. Is that a more recent game?
No, it's a GameCube game.
Oh, okay. Okay. I played 5 of the Sonic Hedgehog games that were for the Sega Game Gear, the handheld device from the 1990s. So
Wow.
they're all basically the same idea, just laid out differently. So basically, I guess you could call them side scrollers. And was it like that? Was it that old style?
No, it was a 3D world. You hop around, jump around. It was 3D.
Oh, okay. Actually,
Where?
I do have a 3D version of Sonic. The only reason I purchased it was because you could actually buy. I'm sorry, you could actually play some of the older handheld versions of the Sonic game within the game itself, and I thought that was kind of cool, so I could try it on my computer. But then, unfortunately, something happened. It was like playing at the wrong speed, and I was like, okay, so it wasn't really worth it anyway. So I paid like $7 for the game, and I was like, okay, I tried to get through it, and it just wasn't worth it because by the time I got through like the first couple of levels, I was like, it was either playing too fast or something was wrong. The sound was off and it wasn't matching up with the audio, the video, or something was way off. So whatever they did, it didn't really work right, at least on my computer. And obviously you could think they would have tested that out, but I guess they just didn't worry about it. I guess they figured not too many people would be playing that game. They'd be playing the primary game, not the secondary game. So they probably didn't put much effort into it. Usually there's some sort of frame limiter that's put in place that keeps, or something like that would keep it in check so it wouldn't like screw up. But unfortunately, I couldn't play it very well. So
Where would you be if the world was ending?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I guess I'd probably just try to contact anybody that's close to me and saying, see if I could get together with them and saying goodbye. I guess that's probably the only thing I could think of. Um, I
Precious moments.
yeah, I don't think I would. And maybe if there's someone that was close, if there was someone having a get together or something, maybe something like that, like maybe kind of like a party, maybe. But I would not necessarily a full out, partying like it's the last time you're ever going to party or something like that. But maybe just to get together with friends or something like that. So that's probably what I would do.
Nice. I'm
I don't think
curious to know what the followers have to say.
yeah, let's take a look here. Ebby some San Jitha says, I pray to Jesus because Jesus, the world get dangerous, disaster, and our brothers and sisters get ready for heaven to Jesus. Come pick up for this dirty place from this. Okay. Let's
Amen,
see.
brother.
At Grove Street with my homies. That's a Grand Theft Auto San Andreas reference.
Oh, I like Aldrin's comment. If we are sleeping at the time, it will be the sweetest dream forever and ever. I like
Oh,
that.
did I skip that? Oh, I missed over. Oh, sorry. You know what?
That's okay.
Yeah, I missed that because he has a white avatar,
Mm,
and
yeah.
I kind of like maybe just subconsciously just skip over it altogether. That's weird. If we're sleeping, yeah, it was okay. If we're sleeping at the time, it will be the sweetest dream forever and ever. Okay. There's a movie that's similar to that called I think it's called The Waking Dream, where the guy dies at the very beginning of the movie, so he gets eternally stuck in a dream for the entire rest of his existence.
Oh,
So
wow.
I gotta say, I haven't seen it for a while, but it's more of a philosophical movie than anything else. I tried to watch it a second time and I got kind of bored watching it. So, but what I do remember is that the movie was probably it was animated, was probably the best representation of what a dream would look like if you could put it on a screen, because you know how a dream, like, things change real rapidly sometimes. I assume you have dreams like that where you're all of a sudden you're like looking at something and something is just completely different all of a sudden, and the images will change shape. This did that very well. That was the only time I ever saw a movie that actually captured what a dream would be like if you could put it in a movie format. I don't think you might be able to do that if you used CGI or something, but this was all animated, drawn out. So it was,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, like I said, the movie was more philosophical aspect about life and things. So if you want to be I say bogged down, but I tried to watch it a second time. I just got really bored, and I decided not to watch it all the way through the second time. So,
Yeah.
the first time I saw it was in a theater, so I had to stay with it. But I don't remember it being boring. So I don't know. Maybe I was just a little. The second time I was just maybe I needed something that's more lifeless, or not more life, full of life, rather than lifeless, I should say. So. Let's see. The guy pray to Allah. Then friends okay. Hi, me Brazil okay. Or what does it say? Does that say hi? I guess hi. Yeah. Again, 50% of the stupid votes. I'm referring to the games, of course. I want. Oh, okay. This is another reference to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. He would eat two number nines, a number nine large. I think did we see this one already? It's looks very familiar.
I think so.
Let's see. How can we know that God okay, this one looks like it's kind of
That's
broken up.
a good question. How do we know? Uh, I don't know. That's for you to, in the terms of this question, decide yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What would the end of world look like to you?
Yeah. Let's see. You right. Pray to Allah. I am Christian. Okay, people going back and forth about that. Okay. Okay. I don't want to get into a debate there. Um, I got 700 video games on Steam, so I should be fine. Yeah, I think we kind of read through these already. It's looking familiar. Yeah, we read through the rest of these. Okay. Okay. So we're good. Alrighty. Well, what I I agree. The playing video games. Maybe it's because this is primarily a gaming channel. Maybe that's why. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a joke. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, like, some people would. Don't get me wrong. There's some people that would.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, you might be a lonely person if you do, but some people are lonely, or some people just really like video games. It could be a VR video game. We don't know. You could be with other people at the time.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be a Pokemon game where it's just you and the game. It could be you with thousands of other people.
True. That's true. That's true. Um, if you're playing by yourself, though, that seems like you would be a very one of two things. Maybe you're very lonely, or you just don't think maybe the world end of the world is really coming, and you're just gonna, yeah, whatever. I'll just play video games anyway because there's nothing else to do. Maybe you're not taking it seriously. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely think that 17 would probably be 17%. I think that would be probably if this was asked on a more grander scale, it'd probably be that one. That would be the number one. I would guess. That's my opinion. So,
We have a more of a curated audience, so but hey, that's what we do. We like games and we like movies. We're media people.
right.
Yep.
All right. Yep.
I dig it.
So, do you have a question for this week?
Yeah, my question, it's a yes or no question, so it should be pretty easy. It is, do you have what it takes to travel? Like, do you have what it takes to go on a high-speed chase? That's it. Do you have what it takes?
Okay.
Because today's movie is about a high-speed chase.
Yeah.
A very adrenaline-filled high-speed chase. So I'm curious to see if people think they could do it.
Okay. Yes. No. No other responses.
Yes, no, maybe, or maybe yes, no. It depends.
Okay.
Maybe like leave something in the comments, possibly. Maybe like parentheses, like comment.
Leave a comment. Yeah. There you go. Let me make sure I got my. Don't leave
Do you have a
anything out.
sequence? Yeah.
What it takes to go on a high speed chase. That'd be hyphenated. There you go.
I don't know. That's a good question. It looks good to me. I like the hyphen.
Okay. All right. Alrighty. What do you think? Is that good?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
pretty
Then-
straightforward. But this is a pretty straightforward movie. So
Okay. All right. There we go. You have what it takes to go on a high speed chase. Oops.
yeah, I'm curious because especially with the San Andreas thing, kind of ties into there too.
As in the video game.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're driving and you can attract police attention, and you have to go on a speed chase in that game many times.
And you can do it voluntarily. You can just do it for fun because San Andreas is what they refer to as a sandbox game. So you can do whatever you play the game, whatever way you want to. So yeah, so the movie we're reviewing is have we mentioned the title yet? I don't think we have.
No, we have not.
It is the movie called Vanishing Point, which came out in 1971. Now this is the original Vanishing Point. There was a remake that came out in 1997 that was made for TV only. So it was a little, that one, the production quality on that one looked a little cheaper. This one looks like it was a movie made from the 1970s. It has that feel of a 1970s movie. So not to be confused with which one we're talking about here. So how would you feel? What's your overall opinion about the movie, I guess?
So it's an action movie. It's about a car high speed chase. Somebody is our lead character is making a bet with his drug dealer on whether or not he can deliver a car. His job is a car delivery man. I've never heard of that job before, but his job is to, move cars for people. So transport cars, take cars wherever they need to go. Anyway, he makes a bet with his drug dealer who sold him speed that he cannot drive this car across the country in like 3 days or like 2 days. So as he's delivering this car, police chase him, picks up hitchhikers, meets random people, races with other people. And I feel like it is it's like a modern western kind of feel. And it also everything takes place in the West, and I've never been to the West. I didn't really realize like how dusty everything is there. Like I've seen movies and stuff like that, but most of the movies that take place in the West that I see are in LA or Las Vegas where it's downtown, so you're not really seeing the deserty stuff. Like this is a very 70s desert, dusty auto meets western cowboy movie. And I'll just say it was definitely for the time. This is like screams 1970. And it's all about the 70s. So, it just I don't know. It depends on like how you look at it, I guess, for me. Um, Before I go on, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, you did say across the country. It was actually more like Denver to San Francisco, to be specific. So,
Is that
because
what, 4 states?
yeah, it was four
Four
states.
states? Okay, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
that's pretty far. I mean, it
Yeah, but
across a portion of the country.
right, because yeah, driving across the entire country, say from like East Coast to West Coast, would not be feasible in any unless you're in a plane or something. So, but yeah. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that I never, it's interesting. I saw this movie, I've seen it a few times, and I never thought of his friend as being his drug dealer before. I just thought they were friends and he supplied him with his drugs. That's interesting that you saw that. So
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever like bought weed or something, but those people become your friends. I'm not talking from experience. This is just what I hear from people. Um, but you can be buddies with them. You can be friends. Um, I've never tried speed. I've never seen speed, but I feel like that is a very specific type of people and group of people that use uppers like that. And I feel like that would be a very social drug. So that makes sense. But me, no, I could never. I have epilepsy. So if my heart beats too fast, I'm out.
uh
Yeah. So I've never come into contact with any of that.
yeah, this was
Not for
definitely
me.
definitely the height of that culture with the drugs and everything for sure.
Yeah. This is if you love adrenaline and you love like always moving, this is a movie for you because he does not stop. I mean,
Now,
he stops for a little bit to like advance the plot of the movie, but he's moving.
you did leave out a key component of the movie, which I thought you might catch on to, which was Cleavon Little's uh, Super Soul, the guy who was on the radio, the DJ.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just trying to like lay out the movie.
Okay.
Um, no, yeah. So the whole time of the movie, also there's a DJ, a classic 70s blind DJ, Super Soul. He's not only like updating the community and following along with this journey that he's on because police are involved, so he can hear, he knows what's going on because of police radios. So he's updating the people, but he's also in contact with our hero. And that's a really interesting part of the movie for sure. It's definitely very crucial to the story because um, Super Soul is revered by everyone, and he's just this like mysterious enigma type of guy. Like people really like this guy, and he's a card for sure.
And the interesting thing about the radio station is how how old it looks, but at the same time, I don't know. See, when I first got into radio stations still kind of had that look in some ways, but it's a little bit more modern looking with all the carts and everything in the background. So the I and the other thing about radio was back in the 1970s when you were on the air, you were also basically you had to have a license to be on the air. If you couldn't just go on the air like nowadays. You had to have actual radio broadcast. And I was when I got into radio, I was at the tail end of that. I actually still have my old broadcasting FCC license that they would issue to you. And it was a free thing for a long time. It was free. So, and you could see the guy that was in the background that was actually engineering everything while he was doing while Super Soul was doing the doing his show. You know, he was maintaining the readings and everything. So that was pretty. It looked pretty close to what an actual radio. I wouldn't be surprised if they filmed this in a real radio station. I'm not sure all the details about that. The interesting thing is the guy who played the engineer in the background. I forget his name, but he's actually a regular. He's been in a lot of movies and TV shows too. I can't remember his name off the top. But if you ever saw the TV show Good Times, he was the father in Good Times from the 1970s. Um, and I'm trying to. He was also in what? He was also in uh, what's that? Oh, I can't remember the names of the movies now off my top of my head. We can look it up there. Go through them, you'll see. But his role is very small in this one. It's kind of funny to see him not really say very much because in most movies he has more of a vocal command presence to him. He's very loud and very boisterous. So in this one he's very more subdued and laid back. But Cleavon Little, the person we're looking on the screen now, was he's well known for yeah, he was in Roots. Yeah, he was in Roots. I look at the response there. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your names on the comment section. You just said Roots. He was in Roots as well. If you ever seen the miniseries Roots from the 1970s or 80s, I can't remember when that miniseries came out, but he was in that as well. So the was and Cleavon Little, of course, was he's in a lot of movies, including Blazing Saddles. Have you ever seen Blazing Saddles?
I
Mel
feel like I
Brooks.
have. It would have been a really long time ago, but I think I have.
John Amos. That's who it is. Thank you. It was John Amos. You just said it on the screen there. Thank you, John.
Mesopotamia, Sumerian. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Thank you for that. Yes. And it's really funny to see him and Cleavon Little. Now the main character. Oh goodness, I remember his name now. I'm forgetting it now. He's not as well known as the other two actors. See if I can get a close up. There we go. Okay. Oh, it's not a really good facial shot there, but let me go ahead and bring up my IMDb count so we can actually read through this a little bit better.
I
Barry Newman.
mean, yeah. So, two things about Barry Newman. One, I thought like he looks like a Gene Wilder type to me, you know, from like Willy Wonka.
Really?
Like I thought this is okay, so I went through like I saw his hair and I was like, oh, this is Gene Wilder. And then I looked a little closer. I'm like, this is not Gene Wilder. And I was like, I'm really surprised he's like in this kind of fast paced movie. And I don't know if it was just the hair or something, like the face. I like looked, you know, right at the beginning. I'm just like, that is not Gene Wilder. Like, I don't know what it is. But yeah, I couldn't help but think I was like, what if this was Gene Wilder? Like the whole movie, I was like, this is like Willy Wonka gone bad. This is like Willy Wonka on his last day, and he just takes a bunch of speed from the chocolate factory and just goes crazy. But that is not what happens in the movie. But I also thought his name is Kowalski, and I was like, how like 70s is that where you just have like the name it's so like perfect for this guy but also like for the movie and the time and cars named Kowalski. I was like, okay, this is on point.
The
So
yeah the car, everything about it is very much from the, especially like Super Soul's name. That's something you would definitely hear from the 70s. You wouldn't hear something like that nowadays. Um, the also the car. I mean, this was where the car he's driving is a 1970 Dodge Challenger, and they kept on and Super Soul kept on referring to it. He was the last Challenger. He kept on referencing the Challenger, so it had dual purpose there. He was challenging authority, and he was actually driving an actual Challenger throughout the movie. So it had a dual meaning there.
Oh,
So the in the car, according to what I've read and seen, I think they had a total of 6 cars, and if you watch them when they're driving, they really tore them up. I don't think there are any of them were drivable by the time the movie was done. The amount of driving, especially driving through the desert and the sand. So
yeah, they were pretty rough on these cars, especially at the end of the movie, where let's just say, ain't nobody driving that car.
yeah, we can give away the ending of the movie. So uh,
Yeah,
just a glance. It's kind of funny because Kowalski, Barry Newman, he kind of looks like my dad during that time period. So my dad had hair like that, so he kind of looks like my dad a little bit.
that's funny. Yeah, he definitely like is like in the thick of it, in the thick of the 70s, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, even though it's technically only the beginning, so this is actually made in 1970 and released in 1971. So, and there's something I wanted to talk about that I discussed with you. I don't know if we discussed this in a show or if we discussed this off a show, but I said that during the 1970s, how the main character we discussed this with Dr. Strangelove, the how the main characters will get killed off in a movie. But after that, after the 1980s, the main characters would always survive. This is clearly a movie where obviously the main character does not survive at the end. So,
No, not at all. He drives into, what is it, some really weird looking bulldozers,
yeah,
just plows just straight into him. And I was like, this is only something someone hopped up on crazy adrenaline would even consider, let alone follow through with.
there we go.
Yeah, those, okay. Those do not look like bulldozers of today. I gotta say that. I was like, what kind of bulldozers are these? Everything about this movie is just so like
A
foreign
project.
to me.
So what? Foreign, really? Oh,
Yeah. I mean, not foreign like across the country, but it's just so, or across the world foreign, but like so different. Like, oh, I don't know. These are strange looking bulldozers.
I never really thought. I watched the movie too many times to. I don't even think about the bulldozers anymore. That's kind of
Right.
funny. I do admire the older cars, and I do like the old CBS truck that comes by, like the CBS Radio News or something that comes by. That was just kind of funny to see
It's like,
that.
oh, CBS must be a big deal.
Yeah. We jump to see if I can get to there. Also, the movie you watched, I believe you watched this version where he picks up the prostitute at the very end.
Yeah.
Okay. That the version you saw, just to let you know, was originally only shown in Europe. That scene was
Oh.
like 5 or 6 minutes long, where he's with her in the car and she disappears by the morning. That scene was not in the American version originally for some reason. So
It was just too much for American audiences to handle.
I guess it's obviously implied that they had sex, and then but they were trying to make it kind of discreet there, and then by the time the sun comes up in the morning, she's gone, and someone implied, I don't know if it was one of the makers of the movie or something or someone that was just watching it implied that she was like like an angel of death almost of something, because immediately after that, that's where the scene comes up where he plows into the bulldozers basically. So that's basically wrapping up just before he does that. So
I
um
just don't understand that because in the middle of, well, like three-quarters into the movie, they show this totally naked woman riding a dirt bike around and walking around just totally naked. But they can't show like they can't even mention a prostitute, imply that they had sex, but you can see like a topless woman walking around. I mean, that's like typical 1970s to just have a sandy blonde woman with just totally naked walking around,
right.
just total boob shot. Like, that's very of the time as well. I was like, okay. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Now,
But
there's something funny about the that scene. The woman, she was interviewed years later, and I saw the interview of her. She said that it was very hard to ride on the bike because the seat was very hot.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how is this woman doing this? Like, that is not comfortable. And they
Yeah.
made it look so beautiful. And I was like, get this woman a pair of pants, please. Like, she's burning up.
We'd show you the scene, but unfortunately, it would probably get a little too risky there with YouTube and everything. I don't want to get this video blocked. So, but yeah, the scene, she basically, Kowalski is, one of his friends shows up and they say, you want to get some, he wants to get some more drugs from his friend. And so he goes to the place where his friend is staying, and that's where the woman on the bike is. Like, he's shacking up with, the friend is shacking up with the woman, and she's just riding around naked on a bike while they're talking to each other.
That's like some 70s, like commune living type stuff. Like, had he stayed there any longer, he might have been like, Kowalski might have been brought into a cult, honestly. Like, it could have gone there. We don't know. He left before any of that could have happened, but that was the vibe I was getting. It's some weird stuff. I mean, it's not. I'm exaggerating, but
Right. Now what was I gonna say, when I first saw this movie, I saw it probably when I was like 10 years old, maybe. So I saw the commercial version of it. Oops. Uh-oh. Are you still there, Tina?
yeah, I just had to move my camera quick.
Oh, that's okay. The and I was at it was at my grandmother's place on my mother's side, and my dad was not a big fan of my mother's family, so we were in the, like, their living room area, and the movie was on TV, so my dad and I just watched it from beginning to end. And we were basically not, we were kind of like ignoring the rest of my mother's family, and he and I just watched the movie from beginning to end. So, and I I always remember that was the first place we ever saw it, and then
Oh,
years later I saw more versions of it, like the uncensored version, so I was able to see the scenes, because obviously they didn't have the scene with the naked woman and any other scenes that were taken out. I will say, um, it seems to me like the whole idea is that he's had several failures in life, and he just basically is looking at a way to run and just keep on going, to because he lost his love, the woman he loved, in the surfing accident. I don't know if you caught on to that part of the
mm-hmm.
story. Um, the He lost his job as a police officer because he was trying to do the right thing, by protecting the woman whose his partner was trying to sexually abuse. Um,
Yeah, that was a
and
weird flashback. There was like a few flashbacks in the movie. That was such a I was like, wait, what is going on? And then I was like, oh, this is a flashback. Okay. Because I don't know, they did not do transitions very well, because out of nowhere you just see this woman in the back of a cop car getting attacked, and she's topless. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, what? And then I was like, okay, this is in the past. But he looks the same. That's why it was so confusing. I was like, he looks the exact same.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they didn't do a very good job in some cases of trying to change his appearance there. They
I was
also
like, is he a
showed,
cop now? Like, he just joined the police force now? Like,
no, I said, this one he's got shorter hair. So
yeah.
he's got some shorter hair. Um, he was also a race car driver, and and a motorcycle race driver, and he crashed on his bike. The scene where he's in his bike and he crashes, obviously it looks more like stock footage than anything else. Um, I don't think I can find that, but that looked very painful. When the biker hit the side of the wall, I was like, oh my god, that looked painful as hell. So
Yeah, like the stunts in this movie were, I don't even think some of these vehicles had airbags. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Well, it's pretty rough. Like, that's what action movies of this time I feel like were, though, where it's like, you do your own stunts. Okay, you want to be in this movie, you do your own stunts.
this scene right here that I stopped at, this is the race with the Jaguar. The car on the left is a Jaguar. I'm not a big fan of Jaguars. I'm more into the American muscle type cars and Australian muscle cars myself. But the race, when I'm sure you remember this scene. There's a scene where he flips over
Yeah.
and he goes over the bridge right there, and he crashes, and you're like, how did he survive that?
Yeah.
That scene was like completely unbelievable because there's no top on that vehicle. And he just comes out somehow slashes, goes straight down, and he somehow survives that. You're like,
He just
wait,
like
what?
pops right up.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he's okay.
oh, good. That little red helmet saved your ribs, legs, and arms.
Yeah, let me bring
Cool.
this. Let me bring this sound back. I'll show you the crash real quick. Here we go. That was one of the most unbelievable crashes that someone could survive from. So,
Yeah.
then we got a comment that says lap belt. He had a lap belt on. That was it. So,
Yes. Right. Yep.
yeah. And you're talking about airbags. Yes, this was well before any airbags had ever been conceived of.
Yeah. Seriously.
So, the was they also dealt with the racist problems with Super Soul.
Oh yeah. There was some words that were said. A few were, and I was like, oh, okay. This is 1970. We don't talk like that anymore.
Yeah, and
Um.
yeah, they were tired of his broadcast, so the cops came up and said, "Hey," and then what the word we don't want to say, and and then I don't mean to laugh because it was this whole scene was done very well, but I'm trying to queue up to if I
It's
can.
just like kind of one of those things where it's shocking, and you don't know how to like. It's jarring in movies when you hear that, and it's just like, oh, like I don't even know how to respond. So it caught me off. I should have expected it, but it caught me off guard. So I know
Really?
what you mean by that. Of like, well, I just I'm just kind of watching, and then he's like, hey, and I'm like, oh, okay, oh, I gotta focus again. Like, what's going on? Like, it was well done. It was definitely well done, but so 50 years. This is now 50 years ago. So it's just kind of like you just don't hear that anymore. At least if you're doing the right thing and hanging out with the right people, you don't hear that anymore.
That's true. True.
That's all I meant.
Well, unless you play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, then you hear it all the time.
Right. Yeah. Or if you're an online gamer, yeah, then you hear it all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, the interesting. This is a little bit of trivia. This guy right here who yelled out that word. Um, his girlfriend, he was the woman he was dating at the time of this was the naked woman on the bike, the motorbike. So that's how she got the job. That's how she got her position as the bike rider because the two of them were dating. So
Mm. They're like, all right, bring her in.
the here's the I gotta be careful here. Obviously, this is the scene where the naked woman is riding around. But yeah, they're sleeping in a shack.
This is why I feel like it has cult vibes because if you notice on the building, it just says sex. It just says sex, and then it just has a big cross, and it's like, okay, cult vibe, commune vibes. Like, okay, I get it. Like, and then at this point, a naked woman rolls up. I'm like, is Kowalski gonna make it out of here or no? Like, I was like, does the movie end right here? He just stays with these people? No, it kept going.
Yeah. Now the jumping to the jump to the end. There she is. Gotta go quickly. There we go. Um, let me stop right here. The California Highway Patrol in this movie, with their advanced technology at the time, which would back there,
Wow.
this is not even believable for the time it came out. To be honest, how would they know where he is like, on this map? There's a scene where his box where he drives over this electronic box that triggers it, and then a light pops up on the screen to show where he's at. How would they know that? It's like,
Right.
obviously it doesn't. No, this is kind of funny. How they put that in there to make you think that they're so advanced that somehow they know that was
They're
his
like,
car.
yeah, we're tracking him. We're right on his tail.
I do like how when they go from Nevada into California, how the female cop. That's mostly notice how it goes from male cops to almost all female cops all of a sudden, and it's like they're like saying California is much more sophisticated than the rest of the country at that point. And we're more advanced than you. We don't call them. She starts rattling off all these names. We don't call them whatever. We don't call them this. We don't call them that. Unlike when the other cops were talking to each other, they were talking like average people would talk. So, it's trying to make this out that the California is like so much more sophisticated in so many ways. So,
It's California.
Let's see. I was going to jump. Now, there's another bit of trivia. Oh yeah, and also a little thing right here. I'm sure you saw it. Well, they named the station was KOW, and then they named it Kowalski afterwards. Yeah, little
I
thing.
saw. I saw it. I thought that was cute.
Um, the car when it crashes, uh, it is this would only be something that a car person would catch right there. I noticed this right away, and other people caught on to it as well. Darn it, I was right where I needed to be. The car that they show. I'm trying to get up there. Right there. It keeps on. There you go. That's not the same car that he was driving. That's a Camaro, by the way, in case you're wondering. That's like a late 60s Camaro. And I could tell right away that it was not the Challenger that he was driving. And I said, that looks more, I'm not even a big Camaro fan. I just know what they look like. And I was like, wait a minute. That's not the same car he was driving in. But, the average person probably just wouldn't, who is not a fan of cars wouldn't really notice that, I guess.
I had no idea.
So I'd like to talk about the second movie that came out. I told you it came out in 1997. In this movie, the second movie was the one thing that really stood out between this movie and the second movie is that this one had a really decent soundtrack for the time that the movie came out. Like a lot of the songs were real songs, obviously, that were played on radio stations at the time. And it's always nice to capture a movie that came out during a certain period when they do that, because you hear the songs that they don't normally play anymore. Like if this had been made, like if they had made a movie about 1971 today, they'd be playing what would be referred to as they'd be playing more popular songs that people would remember versus the songs that were popular at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's what was really, that's what's pretty cool about this is you're hearing all these songs that you don't hear because they're not considered popular anymore. But when the movie came out, they were popular. So it's kind of cool to it's like they're capturing a snapshot, so to speak, of what the popular music was about at the time.
Yeah, and I did notice that I hadn't recognized any of the songs, and I thought the soundtrack was great.
The one song that is pretty song was Mississippi Queen. I forget who does that one. That's a song that's still kind of popular. That was probably out of all the songs they played, that's probably the only song that would probably be heard nowadays on a regular rock station. The other ones were all pretty much not on. Most people wouldn't know what they were. So, and I forget who does Mississippi Queen off the top of my head. This in the second movie, the remake, since it was made for TV, they used generic music. Like there was no rock music, there was nothing popular. So that's what stood out really, really differently. And in the second movie, he was also transporting a car from one part of the country to another, but the difference was, he was trying to get to his wife who was dying at the end. And what they did is they reversed the story. They took the story about how in the original movie his girlfriend dies, but they changed it so that his girlfriend or his wife was dying instead, and he needed to get to her before she died. So at first it was like a lot of people were like, oh, that's stupid. You don't need to give him a reason to go. In the first movie, he just needed to get there. There was no real reason to go there. But there's the closing scene of that movie. I actually like parts of that movie. I like this one better, but I do like parts of the second movie. The ending was very emotional because his wife dies before he can get to her, and
oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's like, and so that's the reason why he crashes his car into the bulldozers at the end. And
yeah, because in this one, okay, so he's delivering his car, he's driving, he's delivering his car, and then he just crashes the car he's supposed to be delivering. He really just did that, right? Did I miswatch? So why did he deliver the car if he didn't even finish the job? He ruined the person's car. This person's expecting their car on Monday. He's like, hey, what happened to my car? And they're like, oh, you didn't hear? Your car was the one that was on the high-speed chase for the last 2 days. That's your car. And now it's destroyed. You don't have a car. What about that guy? Why isn't anyone thinking of that guy? Because he's out of car. He doesn't have his car. What happened to him?
Well, the supposedly, this is trivia that I've read and I've heard, and I believe this to be true. The original concept was, and let me see if I can see it. Okay, right here. Okay, I'll play a couple seconds here.
Look at that face. He's like,
he's going in, and if you watch, hold on. Watch real carefully. Maybe they showed it already. Oh, you can't see it. There's a scene where he's looking through the two bulldozers, and there's actually a light on the other side of the bulldozers. This must be after that, so it must be back a little bit. But basically, what he sees a light, and he thinks he can make it to that light, supposedly. And the original concept of the movie was he was supposed to go into a different realm of existence, and they couldn't film that. The cost was too much, so they just simply had him crash into the bulldozers and just basically end his life at that point. But he was originally supposed to crash through the bulldozers, and it was supposed to carry beyond the bulldozers and go into a different realm of whatever it was. And they didn't know how to film that, so they just left it out. So
Okay, that's where the sequel should have picked up. That's where the sequel should have gone, or the remake should have gone there. If his wife died, he could have gone to death with her. I mean, that would make sense, but yeah, the end of the movie, I was like, wait, what? What? His car.
yeah,
And then I was like, oh, this is supposed to be sad. And then, well, the other thing too is that he dies, and then he has, it's a spectacle. He comes to the radio station, and Super Soul had been telling him this entire time, like, you got one way out, and this is it. And even the police had even hijacked his station at one point, and he's going to the exit, and then he dies because he crashes into this roadblock of bulldozers, and then this crowd of people just looks at him, and they're like, and then they just walk away. No one cries. No one's like, oh my God, did you see that? Like, everyone, it's completely silent, and everyone just walks away.
yeah.
And I was like, what? What? Like, what is going on here? Like, all these things happen at once, and I was just like, did I miss something? Like, it was a very strange ending to this very action-packed, it's adrenaline-filled movie. It was like the most anticlimactic ending for a movie that was up here the entire time. And then it just went like, it's so funny.
Have you ever seen what was that movie that came out during this time period? It was Easy Rider. You ever seen Easy Rider?
I think so.
I can give away the ending. He also gets killed at the end. So this was a common thing for the time, where the main characters just would get killed at the end. So there was no happy ending, so to speak. So
Not even a happy ending, just like acknowledge that somebody just killed themselves in front of you, just completely suicided. Cars on fire, shrapnel everywhere. There's car parts flying, there's a tire flying through the sky. This car's like standing on its nose, and then there's just one guy in the front that's like, it just walks. So everybody just like picks up and leaves, and I'm like, what? It was funny. It was an interesting ending.
There's another movie that did the same thing where they died in '74. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. You may not have heard of that one. Another car chase movie.
I have never heard of that movie.
Okay. They're also driving a very fast car. At the very end of the movie, they crash into a train, and the car just explodes, and they're dead at the very end. So, so it's like I said, it's a very common thing for the time that it came out, for the main character to actually just die at the end. So, it's not unheard of at all. And to not understand that, is probably, it's probably because you're probably used to more of the endings where movies, the main character survives, I guess. So I'm guessing.
It's not even that he died or that it wasn't a happy ending. It's just the mode of death is just like, it was just interesting choice for this movie and other movies to just like, oh, screw it, and then just drive their car and flames, explosions. And it definitely was a 70s thing, but it's just so funny. Like, that's the first time I think I've ever seen like this type of car crash ending, and I have to take a moment here to just absorb what I just saw, or what I didn't see any reaction from anyone at all.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
I can show you. I think we should be able to get away with this. I'm going to bring up. I'm going to chance this. Here's this. Here's the final scene from the other movie. You can see the difference here when I'm talking about. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'll play a little bit of it. Let me go back a little bit here. Let me see. Can you hear
Oh
that?
my
Okay.
god, yes, it's so dramatic. Okay.
Dr. Nazarene, please.
One moment.
This is Dr. Nazarene.
I go with my wife.
I'm sorry. Her kidneys failed during the operation. She died at 7:19 this morning.
No.
Classic doctor voice.
Why?
So that's
So
that's the reason he has for going off into the end to. But it's implied that he might have actually survived somehow. So, but that's the difference between the first and second movie. He actually has a little scene at the end to give a reason as to why he's plowing himself into the bulldozers at the very end. So I thought he did a pretty decent job on that one, but I don't know.
it's not that he didn't do a good job. It's just the music of like, oh, and he's like, no, like it's just like all together is just like, okay, this is a bit much, but it's. And I know for a fact that cars, when they get into crashes, do not explode like that. That's the
Yeah.
other thing is, I know that. That's not how it goes. So
Yeah, that's a common movie thing.
yeah, this is like the time of explosions, the era of car explosions.
Unless you're in a Ford Pinto, of course they exploded. But
Really?
yeah, the Ford Pinto from 1971 to 1973.
They actually did do that?
What would happen is the way the position of the gas tank in the back, if it was rear-ended, the fuel would come out and it would just erupt in flames.
Oh my god.
You didn't know that? Oh, that was a major.
No. Oh my god.
That was a big news story of the 70s. That's why the Pinto was like deemed to be a failure after that, and they made it for a few more years, and they got rid of it and came out the Ford Escort. But no, yeah, it was basically, yeah, that was a major news story from the 1970s. Yeah, just check in the exploding Pinto, you'll see.
So, what if you're driving one today? You're not allowed to, or
No, you can drive them. They just got it was only for the first few years, like the 71 through 73. So like they fixed it on the 74 and newer models, but by then the name had already been tarnished. So,
right? Yeah, I wouldn't pick one of those up either.
yeah. So I mean, I actually own a 76 Ford Pinto. So I don't drive it anymore, but it has it's not one of those that would fall into that category. So
Interesting.
and,
Good to know.
Yeah, it might have been a Chevy pickup truck that did that too. But yeah, it was. Yeah, there was even a joke in the movie. One of the who the Zucker brothers are? Do you know the airplane movie? 1980. They made a whole Naked Gun movies. You know the Naked Gun movies?
Yeah.
Okay, those guys. They in one of their early movies, it was called Top Secret. One of the guys rear ends a Pinto, taps it with lightly taps the back of a Pinto, and the whole car blows up. So it was like because it was it was a thing of the times, I guess. So
That's funny. Yeah, those are good movies.
all right. So overall, what would you give this movie overall? How do you feel? How do you rate it?
I would give it okay. So weighing in the time period, the like cult movie status it has, I feel like this was a very like it wasn't. I feel like in the formula of car chase action movies from the 70s where like you've got the cops and these like crazy people you encounter and the DJ that plays a big role. I would give this movie a 7.
7. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were gonna like this movie, to be honest. I was kind of up in the air if you were gonna how you would react to this one. So overall,
Personal taste, I would give it like a 5.
oh, okay.
But I think it was a good movie as far as like, it covered a lot of good bases, and it was, like entertaining. But it wasn't my personal choice. I would not watch this movie again, but I'm glad I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I would say that people who are maybe feel that their life is not going the right way might be able to relate this to this movie a little bit more in some ways. You think?
Yeah, if you're in that state of mind, or you really love like the fast adrenaline type of thing. But yeah, I mean, you definitely hit it on the head where he's kind of failed everywhere else, and this is like his last stand kind of thing. Like he's really given up everything, and I feel like he knows it. And that's why at the end of the movie he's willing to put it all out there by killing himself. So
Right. The and then the whole idea about like Super Soul saying that he was being chased by the big blue meanies because he was taking a stand against the taking a stand against the man, I guess you could say. He wasn't free. His freedom was being taken away, so to speak. It wasn't
yeah.
freedom led. So
Yeah, at the end, like once the car chase is over, he's gonna go to jail. So it was kind of like, you're right. He didn't want to like give that up and just end it on his own terms. Don't let the meanies win.
right. And the Super Soul. The one thing that was pretty cool, I thought, was the psychic connection he had. Like they were communicating. They were actually talking to each other. I don't know if you remember that part of the movie where they're actually talking to each other through the radio. You remember that part?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool too. So
Yeah, that was a pretty cool role of like 70s true disc jockeys, true DJ radio type kind of thing going on. So
and he was by the end when he crashed his car, he knew he was dead. It didn't even seem like he was listening to the police radio anymore. He just knew that it was over. He just
right.
knew it. So I have to say I'm a little biased on this one because I've liked this movie ever since I've been a kid. So I'd give it more like probably close to a 9 on my scale. So
Nice.
and also the cars too. The 71 Dodge Challenger. Oh, and by the way, in the second movie, he also drives a 71 or 70 Dodge Challenger, but that movie takes place in 1997. So in that one, they refer to it as a collector car. Like he's transporting a classic car across the country. Whereas in the original movie, the car was brand new. It was a brand new 1970 car. So it was a little different. So
Yeah, the only question I have is whatever happened to the car owner.
yeah, I know.
Leave me with more questions than answers in this movie.
I thought about that when the first few times I watched the movie. After a while, I just realized it doesn't really matter to me. So,
But it does matter. It does.
the same thing is the funny part is it's the same thing in the second movie. You're like he's transporting a car for somebody. The story is very similar in the second movie. So it's just taking place 20 years later or whatever. So it's the same. Like we don't know. We never see the owner in the second one either. So we wonder what happened to him too. And that one, the car would be more valuable because that's a 70 Dodge Challenger in 1997 would be highly sought after, especially today. So they'd be very valuable. So it'd be more valuable than it was when it was brand new, especially if it's in good working order. So the owner would be even more angrier.
It's like the like end of the credits, after the credits have all rolled. Somebody's like, "Oh, I'm here to pick up my car," and they're like, "Oh yeah, about that."
What's the movie? You bring that up. There's another movie that came out in '74. Oh, what was that called? Oh, I can't remember what it's called now. It was remade. Gone in 60 Seconds. Gone in 60 Seconds. It was not the acting in that movie is atrocious. It's horrible. But the movie is interesting because the person in the movie goes on a high speed chase in a brand new 1973 Ford Mustang, and he crashes into like 90 different cars throughout the entire thing. It's not unlike this movie where he doesn't crash at all, except for the very end, of course. But this one he doesn't hit anybody. He's he's a very skillful driver. In the other movie, Gone in 60 Seconds, he crashes into every single car you can think of. And at the very end, he swaps over to another 73 Mustang that comes out of car wash. And this was what reminded me of it when you said this. Oh, he swaps it out, and the woman gets the beat up car, and she looks at it and says, "What happened to my car?"
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
That's not a movie. Getting off the topic a little bit, I would not recommend Gone in 60 Seconds unless you're willing to watch somebody smash into like I said, I think it was like 90 cars. I think they said it was a lot, and it was very obvious that the car would not be drivable by the time the movie was done. So it's just another high speed chase. I prefer movies where they don't crash a lot. I like it when it shows more skillful driving, in my opinion. Whereas if they're crashing all the time, it just looks like they don't know what they're doing, in my opinion. So.
Zoom's like sitting behind the TV screen, like, no, don't, no. That's a 1970 Charger. Don't, no. Just kidding. I mean, but yeah, if you do it too much, I feel like it's like overkill. But if you do a cool roll in the air and then land on the wheels and do a cool crash trick, maybe, I don't know. I've heard like Gone in 60 Seconds. I remember when that came out and I was like, pretty young.
The remake, right? You're talking about the one that came out in 2000 or so?
Yeah.
When I'm talking about it came out in 1974. So there were two.
Oh, okay. I was talking about the new one. Okay, yeah.
In the new one, he didn't crash the car at all, except like he dinged the mirror or something one time. And then but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just thought you were talking about the modern version.
Oh, okay, yeah. The one he drives in the newer version, he drives a mock-up of a 1967 Shelby Mustang, but it's not really a Shelby Mustang because they didn't really look like that. It was very obvious to a person like me that knows what Shelby Mustangs look like. You could tell it was like they didn't get it exactly right, but they weren't trying to get it right. They were trying to create their own unique version of a Shelby Mustang for that movie. So
nice.
Yeah, that one's cool because he doesn't crash into anything. That was they took the exact opposite approach from the original movie. He drove around and like I said, I think he winged the mirror on the side once. And aside from that, there was at the very end they wrecked the car because they crushed the car with a wrecking ball or something. But aside from that, he doesn't crash into anything. It's a lot of skillful driving. So.
Oh, wrecking ball on my new car. What are the chances? Nice, but yeah, that was a decent movie. Yeah, I like it.
Well, I'm glad you did like it. So I was, like I said, I wasn't sure how you'd feel about that. So let's go back and check our question from earlier today or earlier in the hour here. Let me give you that up here.
So it's a little straightforward. I don't expect that much traction, but I'm curious for the people who do say something. I would love to know what this is like. How do you rate yourself type of question?
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Refresh. 102 votes so far. And
not bad.
Yes with 68%, no 24%, and 9% with it depends. The question again was, do you have what it takes to go on a high-speed chase? So,
Sandeep
says he goes with it depends, but no explanation as to why. So,
feel free to elaborate on that if you'd like.
So,
I appreciate the comments and votes, everybody. Thank you.
Let's see. I wonder if people actually mean that 68%. That's pretty high. I mean, really going on a high-speed chase, if you're being chased by the police, especially nowadays. I mean, back in the 70s when this took place, you could actually get away from the cops back then. Nowadays, it's a little different. They're a little bit more sophisticated with the way they can track things a little bit more differently and things, especially if they can lock onto your phone, if they can get. But back in the 70s, I remember when I was like in high school, I had a part-time job at a gas station, and one of the older guys that worked there used to tell me that he and his girlfriend used to go around in the county and they'd come up on cops and they'd spin their tires and get the cops to chase after them just to get away from them, and they would get away from them every time. And
oh my god,
And he did this. This is back in I was this job I had was back in the 80s. So he was talking back in the early 70s. So this would be about the same time that the movie Vanishing Point took place. And he said he got away with it a lot, and I believe it was true because I talked to other people about that, and they said, yeah, back then you could get away with it, but nowadays, yeah, even during the 80s you couldn't get away with that stuff. But back in the 70s, yeah, they wouldn't, you could get away from them, and especially with the handling of the cars during the 70s, which was horrible. I mean, it was really bad. I don't know if you know this, but cars during the 60s and 70s were designed to look pretty and look stylish, but their handling was awful. You'd hit the gas and the car would start fishtailing and going all over the place. You would have horrible handling, horrible brakes, but the car looked nice.
Yeah, right.
So, and that's when shortly after that's when all the regulations started to kick in with all, and that's why cars got, nowadays they're heavily regulated to the point where it's like, I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's a lot different. So a police officer could easily chase after somebody with a car today with much better handling and catch up to them more easily. So
Yeah, I mean, cars drive themselves today. Not very well, but they do. Some of them do.
yeah. So
But
alrighty. Well, thanks everybody. I enjoyed the movie. I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. I of course did enjoy the movie, and we'll be back next week with something new.
yeah, I'm excited for next week. We'll see what we think of. We don't got anything lined up, but it should be good. I got a few good ideas in mind.
Okay, I got some too. We can discuss that after we lock up here. So